What's the coolest thing you've ever seen a FNAF game do? Has there ever been a moment where you're playing a game and something is revealed that absolutely blows your mind? I've recently been suggested a FNAF game that did exactly that, and I'm very excited to share it with you all. Today, I'll be talking about Fredbear's Fright, an amazing FNAF fan game made in 2017 by Garrett McKay. This game is heavily tied to the original Five Nights at Freddy's lore, with a twist at the end you're not going to want to miss, so I'd recommend sticking around to the end because its ending is actually crazy. Let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. Fredbear's Fright opens with a cutscene that takes place in the office from FNAF 1. The screen turns upside down, and I'm actually not totally sure why that happens. If you guys know why, let me know in the comments. Afterwards, we're sent to the menu and we can jump straight in to night 1. Something really interesting about this game is that it actually takes place in the original Freddy Fazbear's location with a few tweaks. You'll notice the only door you have is your left one, the right door being replaced with a small vent on the ground that can also be closed via door. You can see above the vent a panel with numbers on it, but we'll get into what that is later. Additionally, on the ceiling there's a lever you can pull that causes water to sprinkle into the office. I will get to that in a moment also. The animatronics in this game are mostly original aside from the two main ones, those being Dismantled Spring Bonnie and Dismantled Fredbear. We'll talk about Fredbear later because on night 1 only Dismantled Spring Bonnie and scrapped Mousiki I'm just gonna say Mousiki are active, so let's talk about them. Spring Bonnie acts as one of the main antagonists in Fredbear's Fright, and will probably be the character you see the most of in your playthrough. And if you take a look at him, you'll notice he is absolutely big back. This motherfucker never leaves the line at the Golden Corral. He starts on the main stage and moves towards your office. He moves to your right side to attempt to enter your vent. You'll be able to tell when he enters your vent because you'll hear the vent banging. Unlike shitty ass, fuck ass Five Nights at Freddy's 2 vent noises, there are actually different noises for different circumstances so that you can actually tell what's going on, which I'm sure everyone can appreciate. When Bonnie, or any other character for that matter, first enters your vent, you will hear exactly 2 vent bangs. Once he's in your vent, just close the vent door. After this, there are 2 other possible vent noises that will be heard depending on which night you're on. If you hear just a single bang, that means whatever is in your vent has left, and you're safe to open the vent door. However, if you hear more than 2 vent bangs, that means that whatever was in your vent just swapped places with someone else, and you should keep your vent closed. This is so incredibly helpful, it cannot go unnoticed. Because of this sound system, it doesn't make you rely on the cameras to tell the location of animatronics that attack from the vent. This is miles better than what FNAF 2 does, where every single possible movement in the vents uses the exact same fucking sound. And if you're on a super busy night like 10-20 mode, the vent noises will actually start to overlap each other, making it borderline impossible to tell what the hell is going on. Now let's talk about scrapped Mousiki. Mousiki is only ever visible on 2 cameras, camera 7 and camera 6. He will start on camera 7, and let me say, he looks scary as fuck, I'm not even gonna lie. He will move to camera 6, and when he moves again, he will disappear from the cameras entirely. Shortly after, you'll be able to find him at your left door when using the door light. What the fuck? All you have to do is simply close the door, and he'll promptly piss off. Mousiki will almost never be a real problem until later nights with a certain character I'll talk about later. Get to 6 AM and congrats, you're ready for night 2. After most nights in Fredbear's Frights, you will have to play an 8-bit classic FNAF minigame. The first minigame has you play as Fredbear on a stage with Spring Bonnie. You'll sing to the children for a short amount of time before the curtains close, and Purple Guy will come on stage and presumably turn the animatronics off. Oh boy, Pussy Guy is going to do something devious, I already know it! Anyways, on to night 2, which surprisingly doesn't have any of the animatronics that were active last night present. This night introduces 4 new characters: Dismantled Fredbear, the Hand Puppets, and Prototype. No, not the Prototype from Poppy Playtime. I don't know why I assumed you think it was. Probably because all you chronic gooners are brain rotted. Yeah, we'll go with that. Dismantled Freddy is one of the easiest animatronics to deal with. However, he can be pretty annoying when he attacks at a non-optimal time. Fredbear begins on stage just like Bonnie. He'll make his way to your office. But unlike every other character, you cannot prevent him from entering your office. He enters a room that you can't see on your cameras that's located behind your office. Once there, he'll wait for you to lift up your camera. You'll be able to hear that he's entered your office when you hear 2 thumps. Upon pulling your camera down, you'll be able to see him standing in front of you menacingly, and as tempted as you might be to immediately become physically affectionate with him, I encourage you to rethink your choices because you have to remember that he's a robot and not an actual living being that you can have relations with. This is where the sprinkler system becomes important. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see a water meter, indicating how much water you have left. When you pull the lever on the ceiling, water will start to rain down and decrease your meter. It's very important you don't use this water up because it's directly how you deal with Fredbear. The phone guy tells us that water will mess with the animatronics because, no shit, they're robots. He really didn't have to explain that one to us, but okay. So when Fredbear is in your office, just spray some water on him and he'll eventually go away. Something I want to mention is how unlikely it is that you'll run out of water. Even on the harder nights, I never had to deal with Fredbear more than like 3 times, and it doesn't take much water to make him go away. Safe to say, Fredbear is never a character you'll really have to worry about. That is, considering he doesn't show up when someone is at your door or enters your vent. You see, when Fredbear is in your office, you will be unable to interact with any buttons in your office besides the water lever. This means no closing the door, checking the hall light, or closing the vent door. I'm sure you can see where this could become a big problem. Let's move on to the hand puppets. There are 2 of them, a Spring Bonnie puppet and a Fredbear puppet, both of them being on the same camera. However, these 2 puppets move separately from one another, really acting as 2 animatronics. However, they function the same. Both act exactly the same as Spring Bonnie, going to the right vent and attempting to enter your office. You deal with them the same way as you do Bonnie, just by shutting the vent. The same vent noise system still applies with these 2. And my theory for their existence is purely to force you to listen and understand the vent noises, which is something I think is actually really cool. The final character to talk about is Prototype. Oh boy, Prototype. Prototype acts as the Foxy of this game. Similar to him, he has several phases on Cam 1B. He will slowly move through these phases, and just like Foxy, can be slowed down by watching him on the cameras. Once he leaves Cam 1B, you know he's on his way to your office. Oh fuck! The endoskeleton! It's on the move, bro! And you'll have to quickly close your left door. But there is a problem you'll probably notice. The game mentions that you'll know the Prototype has reached your door when he pounds on it, just like Foxy does. Except the only problem with that is, at least for me, no pounding sound is ever played. I never had a sound cue from Prototype. Instead, what I had to do was check the cameras to see if he had gone back to camera 1B. This wasn't really a huge issue for me overall, since I was constantly checking the camera throughout the night anyways, but I did probably end up losing way more power than I ever needed to. Something I want to mention about the power system, by the way, it's incredibly forgiving. You'll notice it decreases pretty slowly even when you're using a lot of power draining systems at a time. Power is usually something you'll never have to really worry about. Obviously, if you keep your doors closed all night, you're going to have a problem, but if you're playing normally, you probably won't even end up thinking about your power. But now, let's talk about Night 2's post-night minigame. In this game, you play as Foxy, dancing for the kids on stage before the curtain closes, and Purpley Werpley fucks his shit up, ending the minigame. That's really it. Time for Night 3. Night 3 includes Bonnie, Prototype, Mousakey, the hand puppets, and a brand new character who is incredibly stress-inducing, Scrapped Fredbear. Scrapped Fredbear acts as an incredibly unique character that will cause more anxiety than driving right next to a semi-truck. Scrapped Freddy technically isn't a threat to you, at least lore-wise he isn't. According to the help menu, Scrapped Freddy doesn't actually want to hurt you. Scrapped Freddy works a lot like Golden Call from Dormitibus. He'll wander around the camera until he finds a phone. When he does, he'll call your office and give you a code to deactivate his AI. This is, again, according to his help menu, because he doesn't want to attack you, which I think is really interesting. When he calls your office and lists this code, you will have to use the number pad I mentioned earlier in this video to punch in the numbers. You don't have to press them as he's saying them, but once he's done reading off the code, he will hang up after a short amount of time, and if you don't have the code typed in by the time he hangs up, your ass is on the line and he's about to snort that shit. Typically, he gives you 4 numbers, but I've had him give me 5 or sometimes even 6. This can become very stressful because you'll need to keep track of everything else going on, so you don't really have the time to put everything on pause just to focus on the code. So you'll have to keep repeating the code in your head so you don't forget as you're dealing with all of the other problems. Ooh.
5, 7, 4, 2, 5.
You bitch! I was typing that, you ass! But if you can handle all that bullshit at once, you're home clear of night 3 and can move on to night 4. But first, we have the post-night 3 minigame to talk about. In this game, you play as Fredbear again and have to deliver cake to 3 children. After doing so, you walk over to a door and get yanked inside by Purple Guy and his little grubby dirty ass fingers. Fucking yuck, am I right? But now it's time for night 4, and let me tell you, this night is super fucking cool. The night starts off normal, with every character we've seen thus far active. However, Phone Guy tells us that Prototype has done something terrible and doesn't explain what.
Prototype is doing something terrible. Tonight has been very good for me.
Shortly after, you can hear something on his side of the line scream, and the call abruptly ends. The night continues as normal, and throughout this night, you'll notice that the Prototype is nowhere to be found. Where the fuck is the Prototype? Hello? At 1 a.m., every other animatronic in the building disappears, and the real threat of this night shows itself. Fright. Fright is the final boss of Fredbear's Fright, acting as one final battle. Fright is presumably the Prototype, but you'll notice that he's made up of pieces of all of the other animatronics, which leads me to believe that the reason they all disappeared is because the Prototype destroyed and mangled all of them, making them part of him. You know what? Maybe this Prototype does share a lot of similarities to the Prototype from Poppy Playtime. Fright can be tricky, and it's not because his mechanics are particularly difficult, but instead because of how incredibly fast he is. Fright can attack from both the left door and right vent. He will only be visible on camera 6 and camera 4B. If you see him on camera 6, he's more than likely about to attack your door. The moment he disappears from the camera, very quickly he will be at your door. Close it as fast as you can because you will not have much time. You'll have to keep checking the cameras to figure out when he's left your door, and when he does, it won't be long until he attacks you again. If you see him on camera 4B, he's about to attack your vent. Same thing with camera 6. When he leaves, you'll soon hear him pound on your vent, and you'll quickly need to close it. Again, this night isn't hard because of what Fright does, it's hard because of how fast he does it. You'll need to be on your toes all night and be precise while also keeping your cool. This night acts as a very fun and quick night. It's incredibly satisfying to play once you get into the groove, which is something I really like about this game. It's very satisfying to play because it's balanced very nicely. If you can control your nerves until 6 a.m., the night ends. But not how you might think. Rather than getting your 6 a.m. screen, Fright reaches your office, and there's no way to stop this from happening. You get jump scared by him, and a cutscene begins. The cutscene looks to take place in the original FNAF 1 location before the reworks to the building that we've seen in the game. Whoever we're playing with holds up a phone and makes a call. It's at this moment we get what I feel is one of the coolest scenes from any FNAF game I've ever played. It's revealed that we're the phone guy from FNAF 1, and we start giving the call you can hear on night 4 of Five Nights at Freddy's 1, which of course is the infamous death of his character, except this time we see it from his point of view.
Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads.
Dude, what? What?
Oh no.
We... Oh, damn! Yo, that was fucking sick! Dude, we were playing as the phone guy, you're joking! And this is how night 4 concludes. This is actually so fucking cool. This reveal right here is the main reason I chose to make a video about this game. It's so simple, but I absolutely love it when games have fun reveals like this. But would you believe me if I said Night 5 was even cooler? Let's talk about it. Night 5 takes place in the unmodified FNAF 1 building, with us playing as the phone guy again. but this time we're in the back room stuffed in a suit. This night actually takes place sometime after he made the call on night 4, revealing that Freddy never killed him in the office, instead dragging him to the back room and stuffing him into one of the empty spring lock suits that he wanted Michael to check on. This night consists of Phone Guy trying to survive until 6 a.m. so that someone can come and rescue him in the morning from the suit he's trapped in. You'll notice that this night starts at 2 a.m. instead of 12. This is because it takes place technically during night 4, which he made his final call during. So of course, some time has passed. This is so fucking cool! I can't get enough of this. But let's talk about the gameplay of this night. You have to prevent the spring lock suit you're sitting in from closing by holding space. Throughout the night, Freddy and Bonnie will be checking in on you by opening the door and watching you. Whenever either of them peek in, you'll have to stop holding space and play dead. Once they leave, you're free to continue. Additionally, you'll have frequent hallucinations that will require you to close your eyes by pressing shift. The hallucinations make very loud noises and closing your eyes blocks your vision. Fucking obviously. So, when you have your eyes closed, I'd let go of space, since you won't be able to tell when Freddy or Bonnie enter. If they see that you're alive, they'll definitely gobble you up like the little gobble monsters they are. After surviving until 6 a.m., the night ends, and we get one final post-night minigame. This final minigame requires us to press A. When we do, we see Purple Guy press a button that seemingly activates the 4 animatronics. They walk out from behind a curtain and are in much worse shape than we've seen them in previous minigames, actually appearing to look like their nightmare variants from FNAF 4. They follow Afton into a room with the locked box from Five Nights at Freddy's 4 with a key laying next to it. If you click this key, you'll actually be able to collect it. The game ends soon after, whether you grab the key or not, giving you the normal ending. So, how do you get the true ending? Well, as I'm sure you could have guessed, we need to find the second key and unlock that box we see in the minigame. But where is the second key? I don't ever remember seeing it up until this point. Well, that's because it's actually very out of the way. On any night from nights 1 to 4, if you go to camera 6 and click on the Freddy poster in the background, you'll be sent to a secret minigame. In this minigame, you play as Freddy and just have to move him across the screen and grab the key hanging from the ceiling. After you grab it, the minigame ends. Now, you might think you need to replay the 4th night minigame to open the box at the end, but that would actually be incorrect. Instead, we get the ability to open the box after we finish one final challenge, Insane Mode, which is accessed through the Extras menu. Insane Mode is exactly what you think it'd be, a high-pressure, difficult night where all characters are active. The only real problems of this night are Prototype and Scrapped Fredbear, because they have a pretty deadly combo when you have to take time to punch in Freddy's code while Prototype is having to move. Since you won't be able to watch and stall him enough to stop him from charging your door, most other characters aren't a huge problem. Just make sure you're really listening and paying attention to the vent noises so you know when you should have the vent closed and when it's safe to keep it open. After you beat Insane Mode, you will see the locked box. As long as you've collected both keys, you'll be able to undo both locks and see what's inside. After the box opens, the screen will start to glitch, and if you look closely, you'll actually be able to see 4 faces between the locks, presumably a reference to the 4 dead children. Finally, one last cutscene plays. On a desk, you'll be able to see what appears to be the newspaper we saw at the beginning of the game, with someone named Radio Man calling us. He says he thinks he might have a lead and asks us if we'd be willing to go to an unknown location by ourselves. He says there's no guarantee we'll be able to find him there, not knowing who he is or where there is. The call ends with Radio Man asking us to return his call as soon as we can. At first, I thought this was someone calling Michael Afton in reference to going to one of the Freddy locations to find and kill his father. Up until this point, it seemed that this game was heavily tied to the official games. But after doing some digging, I learned that this cutscene is actually a teaser to one of Garrett McKay's other games by the name of Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. And with that, aside from Custom Night, that's all Fredbear Frights has to offer as far as I'm aware. I really liked this game. The twist of you playing as the phone guy at the end is honestly one of the coolest and most unique twists I've ever seen from a FNAF game. And Night 5 just topped it off even more. I have nothing but nice things to say about this game. It's not overtly and disgustingly difficult like a lot of FNAF games are, and that allows casual players to experience the story for themselves. But let me know what you think. Do you think Fredbear's Frights is as awesome as I do? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if you'd like to see me cover other games made by Garrett, as it appears that many of his games have a connected storyline. The question of this video is, what's the coolest thing you've seen from a FNAF game? With the question of the video being asked, I've been Dexter, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!